Let me take you back to how a typical day might start for you these days. Perhaps you're easing yourself out of bed in the morning, feet touching the cool floor, and as you stand up to head toward the bathroom or the kitchen, you feel that familiar sense that your legs aren't quite as cooperative as they used to be. Maybe there's a slight drag in your step, a gentle heaviness in your thighs that wasn't there a few years ago, or even a tiny wobble that makes you reach for the dresser for balance just for a second. If you're over 60 and you've been noticing these little shifts, your legs tiring more quickly when you walk to the mailbox, feeling unsteady after standing at the stove to stir something on the burner, or simply not having the same solid feeling when you get up from your favorite chair after reading the paper, then please keep listening, because what I'm going to explain could be the missing piece that helps everything make sense and gives you a way to feel stronger again. This isn't about forcing more exercise, summoning motivation you feel has slipped away, or resigning yourself to the idea that this is just what happens as time passes. More often than not, the quiet thing wearing down your legs is something as everyday and seemingly harmless as the fruit you enjoy with breakfast, as a mid-morning snack, or even as dessert in the evening. And for more than 20 years I've made it my focus to work with older adults like you, helping them keep their strength, move without fear, and stay as independent as possible for as long as possible. I've heard so many similar stories from people who were once full of energy. Folks who took pride in their daily walks, who gardened with ease, who chased after grandchildren or simply managed their homes without a second thought, but then started to feel their legs change. They began noticing unsteadiness when standing in line at the grocery store, hesitation before stepping down from a curb, or a growing worry about falling in the shower or on a patch of wet leaves outside. And almost every single time when we'd discuss what they ate, they'd smile and say something like, "I make sure to eat fruit every day. It's good for me." That proud comment is usually the key that opens the door to understanding what's really going on. The fruit we see in stores and markets today is very different from what our parents or grandparents brought home. Back then, apples were smaller and often tartar. Bananas weren't as oversized or sugary. Mangoes and pineapples didn't taste like candy. Growers have changed things over the years to make fruit bigger, sweeter, and more appealing to taste, which means much higher natural sugar content in almost every variety. But after we turn 60, our bodies simply don't process that extra sugar the same way. Our muscles start reacting more intensely and for longer to insulin, the hormone that manages blood sugar. Our nerves, which send the precise signals that let our legs move smoothly and stay balanced, take more time to recover from any disruption. And when blood sugar goes up or down, those changes feel bigger and linger longer, putting extra strain on everything from your energy levels to your stability. The best part about learning this is that it doesn't have to feel alarming. It actually gives you real control to make small changes that help your legs feel more reliable again. Over the next 20 minutes or so, as we talk together like friends catching up, I'm going to clearly name the 7 fruits that most commonly and quietly drain strength from legs in people over 60, explain in simple terms exactly why they cause that problem, and share a practical, easy-to-remember plan that lets you keep fruit in your life while supporting your muscles and balance rather than unintentionally working against them. Before we go further, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a quick second to type a comment with your age and your favorite fruit to eat. It only takes a moment, but it helps you stay connected to your own body and notice how it might be responding as we go along. Once you understand how fruit can affect insulin levels, nerve signals, and the power in your legs, you'll have the clear knowledge to decide what to limit, how to adjust your habits, and which little shifts can bring back stronger, steadier legs in just a few weeks. Let me walk you through what's actually happening inside your body after 60, in a way that's straightforward and easy to picture, the way I'd tell it to someone close to me. Imagine the big muscles in your thighs and around your hips as soft, absorbent sponges that are meant to take in energy from the food you eat. When you were in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, you ate a piece of fruit. The natural sugars entered your blood, Insulin came along quickly to help direct that energy, and your muscles soaked it up fast and efficiently, keeping themselves fueled and ready for the next thing, whether that was walking to the car, climbing stairs, or standing while talking on the phone. The process happened smoothly and without you even thinking about it. But as we move into our 60s, 70s, and older, those sponges start to lose some of their softness. They get a little stiffer. Insulin doesn't clear away from the bloodstream as quickly anymore. It stays around longer than it should. Because of that, the muscles aren't able to pull in the energy as well as they once did. The thigh muscles and hip muscles are especially sensitive to how insulin behaves. When insulin remains high for too long after you've eaten, it sends a message to the body to store that energy away instead of using it to repair tiny daily wear or keep the muscle tissue healthy and strong. Over months and then years, this speeds up sarcopenia, the medical name for the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength that makes simple daily movements feel more difficult, like getting up from a chair without using your arms for help, going up a few steps without needing to pause, or keeping your balance when you turn quickly in a hallway or reach for something on a shelf. Researchers at the University of California followed 480 adults for a full 10 years. They measured thigh muscle size and strength regularly and looked closely at how blood sugar behaved after meals. What they discovered was clear. People who had frequent sharp spikes in blood sugar after eating lost muscle in their thighs 27% faster than those whose blood sugar rose more gently and returned to normal more quickly. This might feel surprising because fruit has always been talked about as one of the best things you can eat, and you've probably included it in your meals for most of your life thinking it was doing your body a favor. But the truth is that even natural sugar from fruit can slowly interfere with how muscles repair and stay strong when it comes in large, quick amounts, especially as our bodies become less adaptable with age. If you've ever had a piece of fruit or something sweet, and then, not long afterward, noticed your legs feeling extra tired, heavy, or weak, like they just didn't have their usual energy or felt dragged down, type the word tired in the comments right now so I know this is matching up with what you felt yourself. What makes this even more confusing is that so many favorite fruits are loaded with potassium, which we all need. Bananas are probably the most famous example, but pineapple, mango, oranges, and cantaloupe have plenty too. Potassium is important. It helps nerves send clear signals so your leg muscles can contract and relax at the right times. Without enough, you'd feel weak or get cramps easily. But when you get too much potassium coming in every day, mostly from fruit, without the right balance from other foods, it can upset the delicate electrical balance that nerves depend on to work properly. Picture your nerves as fine electrical wires running all through your body. If too much potassium throws off the voltage, the messages to your leg muscles arrive slowly, weakly, or not quite in rhythm. Many people over 60 who eat high potassium fruit regularly start noticing their legs feel heavier as the afternoon goes on. They get more frequent cramps, maybe in their calves at night when they're in bed or after sitting for a long time. Or certain areas of their legs feel numb or asleep, even though doctors say their circulation is fine. A study published in 2019 in the Journal of Geriatric Medicine looked specifically at adults over 65 and found that those getting high amounts of potassium, mainly from daily fruit, reported leg cramping episodes about 18% more often than people who kept their potassium intake more moderate. So something that feels perfectly healthy and good for you when you're 35 or 45 can quietly begin to cause problems for your legs by the time you're 70. Another big piece is glycemic load, how fast and how high a food pushes your blood sugar up. Fruits like grapes, mangoes, and watermelon taste light and juicy, but they send sugar into your blood very rapidly. Even a small handful of grapes can make blood sugar climb faster than many traditional desserts. That quick rush creates some low-grade inflammation throughout the body, makes it harder for muscles to repair the small daily wear from walking or standing, and slows down how quickly nerves recover from ordinary use. When this pattern continues over several months, you start losing power in the hip muscles and the quadriceps, the large front thigh muscles that act like stabilizers and help you stay balanced, push forward when walking, or steady yourself when you change direction. Researchers connected with Harvard followed 600 adults for 5 years, keeping track of their fruit choices and measuring their leg strength several times. They saw that those who ate a lot of these high glycemic fruits had about a 15% drop in leg muscle strength over that time, and this happened even when their exercise routines stayed about the same. One of the most common mistakes is eating fruit by itself, first thing in the morning when your stomach is empty, or blending several pieces into a big smoothie. Both let the sugar hit your bloodstream even faster and harder because there's nothing else to slow it down. Fiber plays a huge role here too. When you eat whole fruit with its natural fiber, that fiber acts like a gentle speed bump, slowing sugar absorption so your muscles get a steady, manageable supply of energy instead of a sudden flood. Unfortunately, many popular ways of eating fruit today remove or greatly reduce that protective fiber. Fruit juice has almost none left after it's pressed. Dried fruits like raisins, dates, or apricots pack the sugar tight while cutting the fiber way down per bite. Smoothies break the fiber into tiny pieces so it doesn't slow absorption the way chewing whole fruit does. It's almost like trying to water a plant by blasting it with a high-pressure hose instead of using a gentle watering can. The plant gets swamped and can't take it in properly, and a lot just runs off. When your muscles face that kind of sugar overload, insulin shoots up sharply, muscle repair gets put on hold, and fatigue builds up in your legs, often showing as that heavy, worn-out feeling by mid-afternoon or evening. In a 2021 research project in Europe, scientists followed 320 older adults and compared how their bodies handled fruit with plenty of fiber versus fruit with low or reduced fiber. The low-fiber group had post-meal insulin jumps 40% higher, and after 3 months they actually measured a clear decrease in quadriceps strength. That's exactly why paying attention to how much fiber stays in your fruit when you eat it, and what you eat it with becomes so important. Most everyday nutrition tips don't go into these finer, practical points. Then there's anabolic resistance, which becomes more obvious after 60. It means muscle tissue gets less efficient at using the protein you eat to rebuild and maintain itself. You might be making an effort to include good protein like eggs, chicken, fish, or yogurt. But if your blood sugar is spiking frequently from sweet fruits or other sources, those spikes can interfere with how well the protein gets put to work. Imagine trying to plant a flower bed, but someone has poured concrete over the soil first. The protein is the flour trying to nourish your muscles, and the repeated sugar surges are what harden everything up. Scientists at Boston University studied this carefully and found that older adults with regular sharp increases in blood sugar after eating showed muscle protein synthesis, the process of building new muscle tissue, 32% slower compared to people who kept their insulin responses more controlled. When you put all these pieces together, the extra sugar in today's fruits, the high potassium in many popular choices, the loss of fiber in how we prepare them, and the natural changes in insulin sensitivity and muscle responsiveness that come with age, it creates this hidden, ongoing drain on leg strength that most people never connect to their daily fruit habit. If any of this is sounding familiar, if your legs sometimes feel heavy, wobbly, or unusually tired after you've had fruit, feel free to type the word balance in the comments so I know you're recognizing your own experience. You might be wondering why some older folks seem to eat fruit every day and still keep good leg strength and steady balance. The difference almost always comes down to having an effective strategy rather than just eating fruit randomly throughout the day. And that's exactly what I want to share with you next. Let me tell you about Margaret, who was 71 when she first came to see me. She was a very independent woman who took real pride in looking after herself, especially her eating habits. Every single morning without fail, she would prepare a big, colorful bowl of fruit, sliced bananas, a generous handful of grapes, chunks of fresh pineapple, and ripe mango pieces. She felt good about starting her day that way. But come early afternoon, usually around 2 or 3 o'clock, her legs would start feeling weak and unreliable. She began avoiding stairs whenever possible. She'd hold on to furniture or walls when moving through her house, and deep down she was starting to accept that maybe this was just what happened as you got older. When we sat down together in my office, she looked at me with genuine confusion and said, "Dr. Kent, I really don't get it. Everyone tells me I eat so healthy, so why do my legs feel this heavy and tired all the time?" We decided to try something different using what I call the Fruit Protocol, which is really just a simple, memorable way to organize the best timing, the smartest food combinations, and sensible portion sizes. We took out those very sweet, high-sugar fruits she was used to and instead introduced small amounts of lower-sugar options like fresh berries and crisp green apples, but always eaten after she'd had some protein in her meal. We didn't make her give up fruit completely. We just changed how and when she enjoyed it. After only 3 weeks, she came back amazed at the difference. Her legs felt noticeably stronger and more dependable. She was able to go up and down stairs without needing to pause halfway. She could walk farther than before without feeling exhausted. And she told me with a big smile, "For the first time in a long while, I actually feel like I can trust my legs to carry me where I need to go." When we measured her progress, her quadriceps strength, the power in the front thigh muscles, had gone up by 18%. Her balance test scores improved 22%. And on a scale where she rated her daily fatigue from 1 to 10, she dropped from a 7 down to a 3. That kind of change in such a short time meant she was getting her independence and confidence back. Then there was Robert, a 74-year-old gentleman who really enjoyed his routine. Every morning he would blend up a big smoothie with a whole banana, lots of mango chunks, a generous splash of orange juice, and some yogurt to make it creamy. He looked forward to it as a healthy start. But by mid-morning, often before lunchtime, his legs would start giving out on him. He'd feel them weaken to the point where he had to sit down sooner than he wanted. He kept thinking it was simply age catching up with him, and there wasn't much to be done. When we talked it through, we made a few straightforward swaps. We stopped the morning smoothie habit altogether because it was delivering too much sugar too fast first thing in the day. Instead, we moved a modest portion of fruit to come after his lunch, always alongside some protein, and we focused on choosing berries that kept more of their natural fiber. Within 4 weeks, he was amazed at how much better he felt. He could go out for 30-minute walks every day without having to stop and rest. He managed stairs without leaning heavily on the handrail, and he described his leg energy as having improved by about 60% compared to before. When we checked the science-based measures, his muscle protein synthesis rate, the speed at which his body was building and repairing muscle, had increased by 25% from where it started. Stories like Margaret's and Robert's show very clearly that the goal isn't to eliminate fruit from your life completely. It's about learning to choose the right kinds, eat them in reasonable amounts, and time them thoughtfully so they support your body instead of quietly working against it. So now let me walk you through the exact approach I guide my patients to follow, something I've named the Fruit Protocol, because the word itself helps you remember the main points. The F stands for fruit pairing, meaning you always eat your fruit together with some source of protein or healthy fat. This simple combination dramatically slows down how quickly the sugar enters your bloodstream and helps shield your muscles from those sharp insulin rises. Researchers at the University of Sydney ran experiments showing that when people ate berries alongside Greek yogurt, the insulin spike after the meal dropped by a full 50% compared to eating the berries by themselves. You can do something as easy as having a small handful of blueberries with about 10 almonds, or maybe half a cup of cottage cheese with a few sliced strawberries. The very same berries eaten alone on an empty stomach could cause enough of an insulin reaction to interfere with muscle maintenance and repair over time. The R is for right portion, and this is really important because the fruits available now carry much more natural sugar per bite than they did decades ago. Keeping servings small makes a big difference. Think half a cup of berries at a time, or just one small apple rather than a large one. Big fruit bowls, especially first thing in the morning, or fruit-heavy smoothies can easily deliver far more sugar than your aging muscles are ready to handle comfortably. Usually, one modest serving of fruit spread across the day gives you all the vitamins and micronutrients you need without overloading your system. U stands for understand timing, and this might be the single biggest game changer for many people. Try to eat fruit after you've already had a meal that includes protein and some fat, never first thing on an empty stomach or right before eating other foods. When fruit comes after other food, the blood sugar rise stays much gentler, your energy levels hold steady instead of crashing later, and your leg muscles stay better protected from the negative effects. So rather than starting your day with a fruit smoothie, consider having eggs with some vegetables or a piece of whole grain toast with avocado. Save those berries for an afternoon snack, paired with a few nuts or a little plain yogurt. That shift in timing alone can make your legs feel lighter and more energetic through the rest of the day. I stands for insulin awareness, which means staying mindful of how certain choices affect your blood sugar and, in turn, your muscle health. Pay attention to the signals your body gives you. Maybe your legs feel heavier than usual, you get more cramps than normal, or fatigue creeps in sooner after eating fruit. Those are valuable clues telling you that sugar might be impacting your muscles more than you'd like. Older adults who started keeping track of those post-fruit feelings and then made small adjustments to their timing and portions often saw their leg strength improve about 18% faster over a 4-week period than those who didn't monitor and adapt. Finally, T is for test and observe, which brings everything together into a practical trial you can do yourself. I usually suggest starting with a 2-week experiment where you completely step away from the highest sugar fruits that tend to cause the most trouble. Things like bananas, bunches of grapes, mangoes, fresh pineapple, watermelon slices, any dried fruits such as raisins or apricots, and all fruit juices. In their place, bring in small, controlled portions of gentler options like various berries, green apples that are less sweet, or kiwi fruit. But always make sure to pair them with some protein and eat them after a meal rather than on their own. During those 2 weeks, pay close attention to how your legs feel. Note any changes in strength when you stand up or walk, how steady your balance seems, whether fatigue comes on earlier or later in the day, and how much overall confidence you have in your movements. This short trial usually reveals very clearly why certain seniors manage to stay strong and mobile well into their later years. They've naturally fallen into patterns that match this fruit approach through careful timing, smart combinations, and keeping portions reasonable, even if they never called it a protocol.